Hey traders, this is Christian from Tribeca Trade Group with your end of day recap for Wednesday. And we'll start with a review of the indices. Another day that was, I would say, much different than yesterday. S&P just basically finished up a little bit today. S&P futures up 4 basis points. SPY was up 19 basis points. Qs outperformed a little bit. They were up about 40 basis points. And then the transports really performed very well. Let me just take off one of my indicators so my screens aren't so busy. Transports finished up on the day 60 basis points. Really nice performance. Actually hit a couple trades in this space today, but you could see the volume too pretty strong on the up move as well today. So transports looking pretty good, and we continue to see, some different bright spots every day in this market. So let's start with what we saw yesterday, right? So we saw gold go up, we saw bonds go up, we saw the VIX go up, we saw the yen go up. All these safety trades, all these kind of a little bit of fear was in the market. All those down today. They didn't give back all the gains, but bonds, for example, which I still think it's okay to hold a little bit of bonds, in your portfolio for diversification, or gold, as long as it's above the 200-day moving average. So you got a chance if you wanted to kind of get into some of these trades that have been trending up recently. So the fact that we have a lot of events tomorrow, the market got a little bit of a bid today once this Comey letter came out. It's just the fact of uncertainty. When you have somebody who's testifying in front of Congress that everybody's waiting for, when you have a UK election, when you have the ECB meeting, it just creates a lot of uncertainty in the market. There's different levels of uncertainty, and when the market's anticipating things, people sit on their hands a little bit. And we talked about that a little bit today, where we see sometimes a little bit of a flush, every once a day, where a seller kind of comes in and just liquidates a little bit. So it's generally, I read something today. I track ETF fund flows because they are more fast money, and that's where the more money has been going into these days. I don't really track mutual fund flows, but I saw a headline earlier on Bloomberg that there's $14 billion coming out of equities in the last week. So this typically happens whenever we have events on the horizon. We saw this before with the French election. There was a lot of money that was pulled out of the market, and then it goes right back in afterwards. So I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know what tomorrow is going to hold with those three events. But typically, once those events are over, what I've seen in the past is money comes right back in. All that money that came out goes back into the market. So that's my quick 2 minute dirty on this market. Quick and dirty explanation, I should say. In terms of what we saw today, in terms of market movers, the Chinese internet names. Geez, we put a trade on a couple days ago, and on the dip, and I love dips in uptrends. One of my favorite places to add trades. So again, I think I probably covered this yesterday, but I'm kind of doing a little bit of a victory lap because I purchased the KWeb ETF right at the end of the day here and in here, and now it's higher than both of those candles. So really, really nice move today. Chinese internets were at 1.6%, best performer. I have a watch list of about 40 different names that are U.S. names, and that's on the top of the list at 1.6%. Also, the banks looked pretty good today. I have been very negative on the banks, saying I really don't. I think the price action has been ugly, and while people speculate on what's going on, take a look here. We've got the 200-day moving average coming up here. Maybe this is an area that you can easily listen. I like layups. I like areas where are really defined in terms of where you can get into a position versus a big level of support. So I don't have anything on in this space. I've got nothing on in financials, but KRE versus the 200-day moving average. If I'm wrong, if you play this to the long side, and if you're wrong, you could get a quick stop out, when not lose money. And that's what it's all about. Trading is all about small losers and letting your winners run, right? So the other thing is, a couple names caught my eyes here in this group. Take a look at XLF. I've been talking about how this has been underneath and having trouble with the 200-day, excuse me, not the 200-day, the 50-day and the 100-day moving average. It's not there yet, but we did see an interesting play with XLF today. Some call spreads, and I think some put spreads were sold. It looks like they bought 100,000 of the July 24 calls. You know, it's decent sized trade, 27 cents. It's $2.8 million, and then they sold. I guess they collected 5 cents by selling a dollar, another dollar out of the money. Call spread. So they put this trade on for basically what 22 cents that they put this trade on, thinking that it goes higher. 24 bucks is right here. If financials get a pop, you know, above, I'm personally going to wait for the 100-day moving average because that's what I've been saying all along, as these two are kind of coming in together. But they're looking intriguing to me. Put it that way. Citigroup is probably the best one in the space in terms of the charts. I've been talking about that for a while. Had a nice day today, up 87 basis points and pretty close to breaking out there. So that's also above all the moving averages. So that's my favorite in the space, but I wouldn't be against playing XLF here if it goes just a touch higher to kind of convince me that it's not a fake out. So the banks did well today. Then the semis. I mean, my goodness, it's the semis every day. They're starting to get really overbought again. I mean, you could see that's getting really extended here. You know, um, One thing I could say is I'm taking profits. I'm taking profits on some of these positions. The SMH ETF is overbought, just like it was in here. Last time I got overbought, what happened after? It kind of came in. Let it come to you, right? So I took off. I had Xilinx on today. I took off Xilinx. I'm now out of Micron. From all the positions that I had on, I probably had about 5 or 6 different semis on. I now only have about I have 2 positions on. I'm still in MSCC, and I've got a little bit of Intel on, which is a fresh new position. I may be leaving out one, but they are getting pretty extended here. So I would wave the caution flag at this point in semis and say take some profits up here. And if you want to let your winners ride, fine. But the whole group is looking pretty extended to me. So there's no red flag here other than it just getting overbought. But I like to be cognizant of that, especially in sector ETFs or in index ETFs. When they start to get a 76, what is this thing? It's a 75 RSI. Uh, you know, let these things, give them a chance to come in. They're going to come in at some point, like they've done in the past. Every time they come in, it ends up being a good buying opportunity. So for me, I will probably let that happen before I really add any more positions on. Besides that, and especially in that group, and trust me, I've loved this group. At times, I've had almost 10 positions on in the semi space. Maybe not that much. Maybe 6 to 8. So I still love the space. It's just a little bit overbought. So what else did well today? Healthcare providers did well. That's the IHF ETF, up 70 basis points. I haven't really looked at this ETF in a while, but they're all looking pretty good. It's a 52-week high in this one. So again, there's more things. Sometimes I don't even cover the FANG stocks, which tonight I don't think I'm even going to touch them because there's just more. There's better and there's more interesting things going on while the FANG stocks are resting. Eventually, they will wake up and they'll make 52-week highs again. I don't doubt that at all. But I think there's just bigger movers, and Google was up a half a percent today. Amazon did fine today, again up 70 basis points. So they're continuing to do what they do, and move higher. But there's been a lot of other good places. I'll talk about the negative again today. Oil. I talked about those in last night's video. I'm pretty sure I did. I don't have. I didn't replay it, but I remember talking about oil and seeing all this call buying yesterday and all these oil names. And I said, hey, great. Those are great for day trades. I don't want to hold any of them overnight because this thing is in a downtrend. XOP, big downtrend. XLE, downtrend. So no reason. I had a conversation with somebody on Twitter about this earlier, and they were saying, "Oh, all you need to do is follow order flow." Bullshit. Sorry, because half of these guys who are putting up these trades, they're down money on the year. They're most likely hedge funds that are executing these trades. You need to have your own system. You can't just blindly follow option activity. That you will lose money very quickly in that way if you don't have your own system, your own support, resistance levels, and so forth. So all that call activity that we saw, one of the guys on CNBC, I'm not going to name his name because I don't want to call anybody out, but he was talking about how all these XOP calls were bought. Good. This isn't a downtrend, and I don't want to own anything. I don't want to own a long in a downtrend, especially below the 200-day moving average. That's my spiel on energy, and I said it yesterday in yesterday's video. And I don't know what the crude inventory numbers are, but something's not right when all these things are breaking down. So down 4% for XOP. Granted, I don't have any shorts on in the space either, which I kick myself every time I see a big down day in energy and not having any shorts on in the space. Other than seeing a big USO put buyer, huge USO put buyer, which tries to replicate oil. A couple weeks ago, there really hasn't been a ton of put buying. There was a really big Exxon put buyer probably about a month ago at this point, but there's been more call buying. So sometimes you just have to ignore some of the order flow if it doesn't fit your system, or you play it as a day trade and take it off, which is what I did yesterday. A couple other things, so today's trades, I will show you exactly what I traded today in terms of swing trades and the targets that I sent out to my customers. No new trades today. So I practice what I preach. No new swing trades today at all. I tried a couple of things for day trades that didn't really work out too well. I tried to actually play Apple. Apple kind of stalled at the highs of the day, and I immediately took it off for like a 2-cent loss. So I've been very quick with getting out of some day trades. Hey, if they don't work right away, there's other places. No harm, no foul. I'll take them off really quickly. So I did try 2 or 3 things, I think, to day trade today, and none of them worked. They were all small losers. But look at my exits. I've talked about this trade a couple times on Twitter, and up 12% today. So, sometimes a little luck. You have to be in the right place to get a little bit of luck. For this thing to be up 12%, awesome, right? I just like the setup of where they bought calls on the 200-day moving average with a couple of the other moving averages all converging at the same point. So. That's what I'm talking about with looking at option activity. And this is a name, we do our homework at Tribeca Trade Group. We look at charts so a lot of times we already know the setup. So by the time I see aggressive call activity, it's already kind of programmed that, hey, I know the airlines are moving in an uptrend. And I looked at HA, I know it's a pretty decent name, and I said, wow, this thing's actually depressed, and went in on it. So another big trade, I didn't take any targets in this one, I'm kind of letting it ride, is Scientific Games. This was a trade that we put on think about a week and a half ago, now up 6% in 2 days. So that's what I mean in terms of other opportunities than just looking at, granted, the FANG stocks went up today, but these things are moving faster. There's just a lot of other things that are moving. So I don't want to discourage anybody from trading the FANG stocks. They're all doing great, but there's just a lot of other interesting things going on besides the FANG stocks and those 4 momentum names, or a couple other names if you want to throw a couple other names in there. To me, it's exciting that there's a lot of other things going on. So I'll kind of just give you a quick recap. I know this video is a little bit longer than usual, but there's a lot to talk about as usual. There's a little bit of shack calls today. I didn't actually look at that chart. We'll do it right now. I don't know why that came to mind first, but since it's been over the 200-day moving average, it's been acting pretty nicely. LSCC. A pretty aggressive call buyer. This is a speaking of semi names, right? This is a semi name that I've never traded before. I don't own anything, but I think it's very interesting that how aggressive these went up today. And somebody came in. This trade went up earlier in the day, and then somebody came in just 2 minutes before the close and bought another 1,000. Lot. So they bought some around 10 o'clock this morning as well. So same line, and it looks like they paid up a little bit higher for them at the end of the day. So I don't know. Somebody wanted to get involved in this name. So maybe something to watch. It's a $7 stock. Maybe something to watch in cash. A lot of other trades that were interest. AMD. It's AMD and Micron. It's literally every day that call buyers come in. So it's just been nonstop with Micron. AMD saw early call buying, and the name kind of fizzled through the rest of the session. Down here is really where I want to talk about, spend a little bit more time. Square. Square's a bit overbought. We've been seeing call buying for the last couple weeks just solidly. This time they went all the way out to January. This is another name that is way overbought. I looked at this a couple times today. I could not buy it today with a 85 RSI. One of those names I've written down and say, hey, on a pullback, may be able to get into cheaper, cheaper than what this particular fund or this trader bought those January calls. It's been a hell of a move for Square, but so I will look to get involved in that on a mini pullback. I don't know if we're going to get a huge pullback, but at an 85 RSI level, it's way overbought. IGT, this one I wasn't sure if they were buying calls because there was open interest, but this thing launched higher, and it took a couple of the other gaming names with it. Another group that's really, really moving, Penn, which I still own some Penn options, 52-week high today in Penn. I actually tweeted a chart of this out yesterday, so moving higher. I already talked about SGMS, but in the same area in the wheelhouse of gaming, moving to the upside and quickly. So we saw repeat action in that one at the end of the day. A couple other trades. Oh, airlines, AAL. They came in a couple times in AAL. American Airlines also 52-week high. So they came in a couple times, right? I believe it's a 52-week high. Close to it, at least a recent high. But this name looks like it wants to go higher to me. They came in 2 or 3 times today and bought American Airlines calls. Any name that Warren Buffett is in, I'm okay with being in as well. Uh, again, more select call buying in energy. I did not take this trade. RRC. They came in like several times. It wasn't just the Julys. I just can't buy this trade. It's just it's a, the it is probably oversold at this point. But if you look at the chart, it looks atrocious. But they came in, they bought SEPs, they bought Julys. If it goes up, it's going to go up without me. It just doesn't meet my trading system. AZN. Oh, two other call trades, and then I'll talk about a couple put trades as well. Walmart. They went out to January 85 calls in Walmart. This also caught my attention. Walmart's been moving up. Look at all these VPOCs up here. So Virgin Point of Controls sometimes act as magnets, but they went up to 85. That's right where this line is from this previous point of control up here. So all the way up to January, I like this trade. I didn't put this one on either. As you saw, I put on no new trades today, but this looks interesting to me. Walmart going out to January. So two blocks that went up. One went up around 30 minutes before the close. Yeah, I guess these went up right around the same time. One was a sweep, and I think one wasn't. But pretty nice looking trade there, both for $1.57. And then AstraZeneca, another call buyer. This trade's worked in the past. I mean, AstraZeneca has been on a big move. They gapped up around after earnings on a drug release. So somebody went out it again for AZN. These were 2,000 of the July 37.5 calls. Not a big trade, but still, I think interesting. Premium was only $39,000 for this, so relative to some of the other trades I mentioned, a pretty small trade. I just like the way that it went up. Pretty aggressively sweep in an opening trade. And then just looking, there was a decent amount of put trades. The one that really caught my eye was the Johnson and Johnson. I believe they're speaking at a conference tomorrow. They bought 16,000 of next week's puts. That's an opening trade. Well, it looks like I have it on here twice, which is a duplicate. So that's it for there. There was also I think, which was a roll in emerging markets, 27,000 42 contracts, pretty large trade for EEM. That was, yeah, I mean, a $3.2 million trade. So I think they rolled this trade from June. I'm not 100% sure. I'm really not sure. But nevertheless, this trade was $3.2 million. SEP 42 calls going up in the emerging market ETF. I am long that name in cash. All right, so that's it for today's market recap. Visit us at Tribeca Trade Group. Would love to see so many people have been talking to on Twitter. Try us out for a week. If you want to hit me with an email, you're welcome to do that, and I can set you up with a couple, a couple day free trial to check it out. Most people who check it out end up being members. I would love to see you guys check it out and see what we've got going on. Our room, I think, is a lot different than anybody else's in terms of what we do and how I try to help people out and trade. And we're all trying to make money together. So TribecaTradeGroup.com. You could either send an email on the contact us, and I'll be happy to give somebody a couple day trial to check it out and see what we got going on. So thanks very much for watching, and have a great evening.